We are down here in Cocoa Beach with Billy Bosch from Good Breeze, Chris Reynolds from FliteLab, and this is Mr Bennetts, if you don't know me already. We have the FliteLab Flux foils, we have the Amp Jet boards, and we have the Raw boards. We're going to go through that today. Give everyone a bit of info, and we hope you love it as much as we do.
Yeah.
Is that sweet?
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. All right, so if you want to give us a rundown on how, what I really liked was how this mast went into the board. It's nice and easy. You want to show us how that's
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, start there, I guess.
Sweet. So, mast-wise, I'll talk a little bit about the mast first. So, the theory behind this, like everyone's trying to lose a connection, you know, like the more connections you've got in your foil system, you know, the more chance of movement, wear, tear, all that sort of stuff. So, that's been solved by many people by actually having like the monocoque front wings with the fuse built in, which works great. And we just
traveling,
but
Yeah.
not great for traveling. And then kind of the other thing that
The movement
yeah.
in here. If you do the monocoque, you're getting movement in between the fuse and the connection, you know, to the wing.
Right.
That's kind of like where we found a lot of issues with the other brands. So
especially with longer,
with
foils
wider
nowadays,
spans.
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
exactly.
And then the other thing, just, you know, it's that user experience. Like, you know, you want to change out a foil and suddenly you're having to pull this off and then pull your tail apart and then get the new front wing and put it all back together. It doesn't take too long, but it's just like, it'd be so nice if you just had a couple of bolts, whip off the front wing, whip the next one on.
Sure.
So this is where this was kind of born. I mean, I know it's, you know, like GoFoil had done a similar thing. Obviously, you know, one of the first, you know, to get into the industry.
But we made it shorter like this, so it is actually super easy to travel with.
Yeah, I like that.
So you can like load it in your board bag that, you know, on top of your
Traveling wise,
Right.
you know, like
Yeah.
Wider than your board, not much wider than the mast plate. at
yeah.
all,
So
really.
that it's actually really like when I travel with 2 masts and, you know, 3 or 4 wings, a couple of boards, and it's all, you know, it's all around 50 to 60 pounds. You know, when you've got it in a board bag, and it's kind of like pretty easy to travel with.
Perfect.
And it's like, you know, you're not going to get charged excess, even by bringing multiple setups. You know.
Yeah. So we did put, you know, right from the get-go, you know, driven by both Adam and myself with the quest of, you know, attempting to build the stiffest mast in the market, but also keep it thin. So we went through so many protos, same with all this design, and we just knew if we got, you know, the base of the whole system that obviously holds the foil and everything, just, you know, absolute, you know, to where we wanted to get it.
Like the mast is the backbone of the
That's the word I was
system.
after.
Yeah, the backbone.
Lost for words.
Yeah.
So how long is this backbone? Is it 80
This
centimeters?
is an 82.
82.
Yep. So we measure. The problem is everyone measures their mast differently. So this is from base plate to centre of the fuse.
Right, that's about what I would
Yep.
think.
Which is similar to like a 32-inch, you know, mast from other brands. Similar to like a, you know, an 82 centimeter or 32 inch is like probably
I think
it's
that's
pretty
a
sall
perfect size.
for
It's
like
all
most,
around.
all round.
Yeah,
like
you can use it kiting, winging.
exactly, it's like a
proning.
perfect that. Like I tested every foil on the market basically, and that's why I chose this sort of length. That was where I found a happy medium for you know everything. You know, some guys are going to want shorter, like for downwinding and stuff if you really want to race. But like I downwind on this and it's fine. It's really good for surfing. It's good for towing. It's like a really good all-round size.
Yeah.
For sure.
And at launch we've got an 87 as well. So we'll launch with the 82 and the 87, and then from there we'll expand out the range both ways. So we'll go shorter.
Yeah.
87 is probably going to cover us for most. If we
Yeah.
end up going longer than 87, if the market demands it, then certainly enough. But we'll certainly step down to sort of around the 76, 77 mark.
Yeah, so like an 87 is going to be like a 36, you know, inch roughly. So it's kind of like,
Kind of your wing mast,
yeah,
tight foil.
yeah, and like you don't really need much
Tow,
longer
big
than that.
waver,
Like
yeah.
that's more than enough for towing. Like I find this to be really good for towing still, you know,
Yeah.
unless you're towing like 20-foot waves or something.
Yep.
but-
So then another couple of key features. Cord is 13.5 mil. Sorry, not cord. Thickness of the mast is 13.5 mil thick. So pretty thin on most mast standards out there to create the stiffness that we got. The other thing is we found if we kept the cord straight for as long as we could before we tapered it, then just when you're riding, you know, like you're never staying at the same height. You're just not on the turns and all that. Getting a slightly different cord would actually throw us out on the turns. So it's just, you know, really concentrating, and same with the foil section we used on the mast, like really focusing on that winging and surf foiling, you know, market where it's just, you know, such a beautiful mast to turn, you know, no matter how high or low you're riding. Mast plate we wanted to try and keep reasonably thin. We chose to actually go closed holes just for strength and reliability, and also keeping this plate, not too thick. And another reason we've chosen closed holes is our mast track design in the board. So
yeah, this was pretty cool. You guys showed me this earlier.
with the closed holes, yeah, exactly. So with the closed holes, basically just line up the nuts and drop it in, slide it forward, and then just line up the back nuts, and then we're in. So that way, certainly way quicker to slip it out.
Yeah, we'll slide it out. It's like
But yeah, so do it up, done. So when I'm swapping out boards, it's just so...
This is my first time doing it.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
First time.
Easy.
Super easy.
Super easy.
Yeah.
You can almost do it. Oh, look at that. I almost did it.
There you go.
You're already better at it than me.
Yeah. Billy's got
It's
it.
always the back nuts. You just got to line up there, take your time, there we go, and we're in.
Nice.
So just a nice way. And so I just keep the nuts on the mast the whole time. I never take them off.
And I came earlier and you guys were talking about this tool, which I guess is...
This is still in the works. Yeah, we just wanted to create a tool. One, we use this special stainless tool. We've all had tools that rust, you sort of feel like you go through a tool every couple of months.
Yeah, for sure.
So we sourced this special stainless that's super rock hard, so it's not soft like normal stainlesses. And obviously...
And it's got the rubber handle, so if it does knock your mast, it's not going to scratch it.
When you're twisting it and you get this, you're not dinging it up.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's Proto 1. So we're just going to tweak it a little bit because we love to tweak things at FliteLab until we feel it's perfect.
Because we're always in the lab.
Because we're always in the lab. So it's going to be a good addition to everything. And then wing wise.
So this is like what we're talking about with the. It's got titanium rod, goes through there. It's what we really wanted was to have something that was super easy to come on and off like that. That you don't need to use a mallet to get it on and off. It's like super loose. But then the way we designed it was it actually has four contact points here. So when you screw the screws in, it pulls the foil up and actually that's where you're getting the contact. And so you're getting no wear and tear like you do on some other brands. Gotcha. And then. So it's never going to wear and tear, but then when you tighten it up, it's rock solid. We'll show you here. We'll tighten this up, and
so it's normal for this wiggle.
Yeah, just initially.
Don't call us and ask us if it should be wiggled.
Yeah.
It's literally designed that way.
And then another thing too. So what my big thing was too was we've done M8s on the front wing, M8s on the mast, and then we've got M6 on the fuse part here and M6 on the tongue and the stabilizer. And my biggest thing was I just wanted one tool to do it all. So it's
so it's all the same Torx 30.
Yeah, so it's a T30, one tool. All the hardware's the same, but you got different size hardwares. We needed some maximum strength in the front wing here, so we needed to do M8s, and then obviously M8s are going to be stronger in the mast, so we did M8s, but we made sure it's always T30, so one tool, and then put that tool in your pocket and you can change all your hardware. So that was super important to me.
Yeah, nice Velcro. So no zippers on the board bag, the mast covers, I guess, or the wing covers as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then
same with the rear. Like you'll see, this is all loose.
Okay, so that's
same,
also
same deal.
To be loose.
Got little.
What's that? The little guys.
I'll get some.
And how many different fuses are there?
Yeah, so this one is a short, I believe. Yeah, so that's it. So it's going to be short, medium, and long. Are we doing extra short straight up?
We are going to. It's in design at the moment.
So on launch it'll be short, medium, long. A short. So the way I like to measure everything is I actually like to measure in general from the trailing. The leading edge of the front wing to the trailing edge of the stabilizer. Your short fuse length in if you compare it to other brands would be something like it'd be like 63 centimeters.
Yep, gotcha.
63 centimeters, so it's a little bit longer than say a 60 Armstrong.
So that's probably like your standard is going to be short or medium.
Yeah, exactly. A medium's going to be 67, I think, and then a long is 70. Is that right?
Yep.
So who would use a long? I guess if you're like towing.
If you're towing, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, I think it's.
Beginners.
No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. So your short is actually going to be 67, and then your medium is going to be 70, because I found from all of my testing that 70 was like a really good all-rounder sort of thing, and then your long is going to be 73.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Only because I know 70 is like That's my number. So yeah, so you 60, which is actually really good. So the short, most people are going to like the short, because what I've also found talking to a lot of people, especially sort of Armstrong crew, they always wanted something in between the 60 and the 70. They wanted like 65. Right. It was like that in between sort of size. So yeah, it was really good to sort of have that size. And then the extra short will be like a 3 centimeters shorter, so it'll be like 64.
Okay, so it's not a massive.
Yeah. So
also comes down to the foil section and how pitch stable your front wing is. So
yeah,
we found these flux wings are incredibly pitch stable.
Yeah, and
then you do end up, like I've started shrinking my,
Well, that's what I was about to say. What I actually found is I've always ridden 70 because I loved the pitch stability, especially with all the brands. All the foils are so fast now that you're finding that you're going, fast, so you need that pitch stability. So if you do ride a shorter fuse, you're actually kind of a bit out of control in pitch. Right. So what I'm actually riding now is I'm riding a short fuse on these foils, which I never normally would do because they're so pitch stable. So it's like really cool to have that. Then you get the turn, you're getting a lot of maneuverability, but then you're still having the pitch stability, which is super important, especially at speed,
Especially if the wing, the front foil pumps well.
Yeah, exactly.
You go shorter, you're not really worried about losing.
Exactly. Yeah, so I've gone shorter in my fuse now with this.
And then down to the tail end. So we've got, our stabs are actually quite small, but they produce a lot of lift for their size. So we've got a 125.
All of our sizing is in centimetres squared. So if we're talking 707, that's 707 surface area, 808 surface area. So 125 is 125 centimetres, which is quite small for a stabiliser. And then we've got the 140 and then a 160. So
one model tail to start with, basically.
Which is going to pair with the flux foils, and then moving forward when we do downwind wings, we'll bring out some downwind tails and stuff like that. But on launch, it's going to be 125, 140, 160, and then the sizes that we talked about earlier. It's on launch 707, 808, 1010, just initially on launch, and then we'll fill in the gaps as we go.
Okay, great.
Quickly on the shim system, like everyone's got their own theory on shimming, and we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. So we actually write the shim number in this little space here, so you don't actually have to pull your stab off to actually go, what shim did I have on?
Yeah, it's really cool.
The other really nice thing is once you've found your lovely shim, you can pull this tail off as many times as you want, and that shim's not going anywhere.
Nice.
So it actually clicks in.
Searching for it in the sand every time.
Yeah, exactly. I've just cut my fingernails.
And do you have to have a shim on there? You have to have some sort of shim.
Yeah, so it's designed.
Yes.
It's designed. For our tails, yes. But you can. It is flat, so you can. If you ride that with any other brand, like they're 30 mil spacing, so you can ride. Most brands with a bottom mounted tail, they'll have 30 mil spacing. So you can ride anything else, but we've designed it to ride at neutral. That's how I like to ride it. And I was a big shimming guy, but we've kind of, the way we've designed the angles and everything is that we're riding at neutral, and then we're giving you a 0.5 increment either way, negative and positive, up to 2. So you've got like a lot of room to play with if you want to shim stuff.
We've got 2 degrees, so up to 1.
2 degrees up to 1. So 2 degrees.
Range.
So
why would someone do a 1?
So someone would do a 1 if you're for whatever reason, like extreme, but all boards are different too, and boards have tail rocker and they have all different kind of rockers in their board. So if your foil is feeling like it's nosediving a lot, then you would put a plus shim on here. Like we've got a minus or a plus, so you'd put a plus 0.5 to get the nose to come up a little bit, not enough, a bit more. It's going to create a little bit more drag, but it's going to give you more front foot pressure. Vice versa, if you're towing big waves and you're just getting blasted every time, then you put in a minus, and it's going to make the nose come down and give you less front foot pressure and less, less lift to some degree. But it's all user preference. But we wanted to give people as many options as possible. So you've got 2 degrees like total to play with it. It is designed to ride at neutral, so suggest just going out at neutral and feeling it out. In my personal experience, I'd prefer to remove the mast to get your nose to come up or down before I started shimming, just because that's kind of how it's designed. But that's just my personal preference. So,
while we're talking about moving the mast, boxes are a custom box, as you saw with the entry, and they're also 14 inches long.
Yeah,
so
nice
just that little bit nice balance between, you know,
big adjustment space.
big adjustment
Yeah,
space, but
lots
not
of room
having,
for,
you know,
for every foil.
we found 16 we started off with was just that little bit too long. We were never
Right.
getting to the front of the boxes. So, and the boards are designed, same with the foils and all that. Most of us are sitting pretty central to the box. So, you know, obviously it's accommodating all different foil systems. But, you know, hopefully there's plenty of range there for everybody.
And are you guys going to have a separate? So this is full carbon, I assume, the fuselage section,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Are you going to have an aluminum section that's a little less expensive, or are you sticking all carbon?
Maybe down the track.
Yeah.
Certainly at launch, like we're just going full premium on everything. You know, we love carbon. We love
and
I
what
don't think it's
and
too
what
much.
titanium. No.
and also what I've found too is that we were actually like it was actually getting frustrating because we've been testing everything with aluminum, and only up until probably a month ago, like everything, like the carbon tails were really hard to get right. And then we got the carbon fuses, and they just like have the craziest spark in them compared to the aluminum ones. And I was already like loving the aluminum, like in all my videos over the last year has been on aluminum, and up until recently, and now these new carbon ones are actually like so much more sparky and even better. So like that's why we're going to go launch with the.
And when you
the
say
carbon.
sparky, you mean like just?
They just have like, they just kind of like don't. So the way I like to, which is what I was telling Chris, is that when I first got it, I called him, I was like, man, it's like the whole foil is like flexing in unison. It's like, it's because it's all the same material. There's no like dead, like, you know, aluminum's a very dead sort of feeling. It doesn't have that like spring back, you know? Right. And so the foil was flexing nicely, but the tailpiece was like this weird dead feeling. And I only noticed that when I rode the carbon one. When we had the new carbon ones coming, I was like, oh my God, it has this like magic spark in it. It's like it pumps better because it springs back, and so so it was really, really cool. It's like when I called him, we've been working on it for like 6 months trying to get it right, and he was just like, yes, we got it.
Call when he's testing cars. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. And so Chris was like just frothing.
I also like how you said aluminum for us Americans.
Yeah.
You switched beautiful.
I'm
Yeah,
liking
yeah,
pounds. I'm going pounds, aluminum. You know,
Fahrenheit. We're struggling with Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, I don't think
like sprinkle a bit of oregano on the on the pizza, and it's all good.
Nice.
Not oregano.
Oregano.
Cool. You want to
Awesome.
talk boards?
Yeah, well, thanks for showing us this. I can't wait to get on it. And hopefully we get some waves here today and tomorrow and get on it.
Yep.
Sweet. We're just going to talk through the boards, and we've got EG here. Eric's just rolled in, and he is going to get some education as well because he hasn't really seen much of this stuff either, which is cool. So I guess, do you want to talk about the...
To start on one of the boards, and we can talk about all the design.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
walk us through the different lineup. You got the raw lineup, I guess, without the inserts, and then you go over to the amp.
Yeah, so we got basically these are like my everyday prone boards, 4.0 to 4.6 in 2-inch increments. The biggest thing for me was the stiffness, I guess, probably one of the most important things. So these are like the stiffest boards that I've ever ridden. We, compared to multiple brands, and it just gives it that spark that I spoke about before. The inertia. What would you say? What do you call it? The kinetic energy gives it that spark. So
built-in kinetic energy.
Built-in kinetic energy. And so so for me, we wanted to keep these boards really narrow. So you can lean over a lot more in your turns and really, push through your turns and get those really good arcs through your calves. But we also wanted to allow you to offset your stance. So what we've done is we've actually kept the deck super flat all the way to the edge. And it actually has this little lip here too, which is you can't really see unless you look really closely. But what that allows you to do is if your toes are here pushing, what I found is that in previous board, we probably did 20 versions of this like design, and when you're pushing off, you think that you're actually slipping off the back, but I have a lot of footage where I'm actually just slipping this way. So this little tiny lip here lets you, and because the grip goes all the way to the edge, it lets you push with your toes, and it just gives you that tiny little bit of extra grip.
Do you ride with your feet offset?
Yeah, so I'm pretty offset with riding kind of like that, with the stringer kind of maybe like on my heel, and then my toes are right on the rail, and then my front foot heel is on the left side of the board. So I found, I think everyone starts out pretty centered, especially if you're coming from some sort of surfing background. But then you slowly learn that by offsetting your stance, it gives you a bit more leverage.
Yeah, and running pretty offset too, Eric?
I know the leverage thing. I'm still just out of the surf mind, still trying to ride out of the center.
Yeah.
You know, but I can feel when I offset how you can get on either side of the center point and dive either
Let you
tip,
roll.
roll
Roll
better,
a bit better.
for sure.
I kind of the same way. I feel like when I'm doing when I'm starting off, I'm centered, and then if I get on a nice long wave and I'm starting to get comfortable, I find myself kind of moving my feet to really dial in to offset it a little bit to kind of
because what I find is it just lets
Certainly
you
with the bigger wings.
it just lets you open your shoulders up a bit more, and so you can kind of you can just turn a bit harder on your heel side.
You're trusting that bite more.
Yeah.
Because you have more leverage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of the deck design was kind of like that. We've kept it really flat, just with those little kicks in the back there. We did this really beautiful custom grip, which is we did countless versions of this. It's literally with so many versions of this, and we did this really cool pattern. And what I found with this pattern is actually really cool because your toes actually kind of suck into these little
suction cups.
So they get this. You actually get extra grip, and then it sort of also allows that beautiful green stripe to that spray paint stripe, which is our branding.
That's how you're doing the airs.
Yeah. And and then pulling it around to the bottom, we did some just nice subtle chines, but kept them pretty sharp, and especially at the back there, really sharp. So what we found is that when you're touching down, it actually really bounces off. It doesn't ever suck, and then you can get on foil really easy when you're paddling in. It's not really sucking to the water. And then what I've actually found with that too is that when you're hitting whitewater, you're coming around doing whitewater turns, it's not grabbing on the whitewater. And that was also the inspiration for the chop tail version with no tail. As soon as I chop the tail off, most boards have maybe 6 inches of tail behind the box. That was actually, I found that was grabbing on whitewater turns, and then as soon as I chopped it off, it just wouldn't grab, and then it would release. And so that was kind of the inspiration behind the chop tail. We talked about the boxes earlier. We've got 14-inch boxes.
And is this the size that you've been riding?
Yeah, this is the size. Yeah, this is exactly 27 litres, 4 foot. Eric and I both ride this one. It's got the custom boxes where you can slide in and out the mast, like we talked about earlier. And
probably the other thing back on the rails is we also design-wise, we really wanted the board to a lot of people actually looks like it's quite wide, but just because of the deck and the deck grip, we've really squared off these rails here to maximise the deck space. But this is actually only 18 wide, this board. It's actually quite a skinny board.
Yeah.
So much, as Adam was saying, so much refinement.
We did so many versions of this thing.
We just tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked, which is really, really nice to be able to have that luxury on a product. And then also, which we run in the entire lineup now, we went through, I lost count of how many different constructions. So we've just got to keep going with construction.
Yeah.
So we tried every single layup known to man. The way we actually lay up underneath this outer skin. Yeah, and
it was actually really cool. Last year, I think it was the year before actually, Chris flew over with 6 different boards, and they all had different layups. With one with carbon running running along this way, parallel. And then we had one with unidirectional on the deck, and we did so many different versions, and we finally came to this version here, which was it was just a magic sort of sparky kinetic energy, as we said. It had the spark in it, and it was really cool to go through that process, because I really could notice the difference between the different layups, where one felt a little bit deader, and then one felt too stiff, where it was I wasn't getting that kinetic flex. So really stoked on how these boards come out, and I mean, Eric was unsure at the start, and now he's just losing his mind. So
yeah, another
thing.
You're
unsure with the pointy nose thing, hey?
Well, no, it's just such different coming off of what you're riding, and then coming to this. What I had more was going, is it gonna I didn't realize how much boards made a difference to the wings. So just coming off of what I was riding, I was just going, all right, is this gonna fit? Is the slipper gonna fit, right?
Yeah.
And immediately it was an eye-opening upgrade, almost just unlocking the key right away, because I could feel coming from being surf-based, I can feel coming out of the center point, it rides friendly, but you can also do the offset attack, and then that's where you're getting way more aggressive, right? And then just coming off of, I guess, previous stuff, I really like how everything's just subtly, cleanly blended. There's nothing too extreme. It's just everything's in the right place, and there's actually a lot more foam packed in this than you think, and it still looks really sleek.
They paddle really.
Amazing.
They paddle really good for their size.
Yeah, and it's a pretty small board, but you guys seem to catch waves no problem.
Yeah.
Another thing being it's black, right? We're in Florida, and we're coming into summer. You would think this thing's gonna cook an egg. And these things have been out here for about, I don't know, a couple hours now.
We all came out, we're touching them, we're like, wow, it's not hot. Why is it not hot?
This is no bullshit, it's not hot at all. I don't understand that part. I mean, I'm greasy, but, no, it's incredible. The whole range is incredible. And now you guys are finally here, so it's going to be exciting to try it all, the whole lineup.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I guess that's basically the raw board. Did you want to talk about
those different sizes?
Yeah, so
we've got a 4.0, so we go in 2 inch increments, so 4.0 at 27 litres. Then we've got the 4.2 at 29 litres. We've got the 4.4 at 32 litres, and then the 4.6 at 35 litres. Once again, we refined them all. We tried to keep, the thickness of them down, every little bit. They weren't just a scale up, like it was a real work on every board.
And what was really cool too is shout out to the Bay Boys, the guys from home.
Yeah.
We literally have 20 of these boards circulating Byron Bay right now, from all different sizes, weights, abilities, and it's been really cool to get there. They actually were instrumental in the feedback of the scaling of everything because
and they won't give them back.
Yeah,
but all our photos, we just can't get them back. We lost it.
Yeah, all the protos are in Byron. Whoop.
I could understand.
So that was really cool. That was really cool to have, not just me testing them and designing them, because obviously, I'm not going to ride a 4.6 because it's going to be too big for me. But we have, a guy who's 210 pounds, who's intermediate riding it, and who's 40, whatever, 45, and they're just like, it was really cool to get their feedback and really put it back into the board, because it was that they're the customers, like everyone's different, and it's really cool to offer different sizes and different, for different weights and abilities and all that kind of stuff. So
I guess the other thing sizing wise is we've found, just from all the feedback and even my own personal journey, everyone's sizing down when they ride this. So if you usually ride a 4.6, they're quite often going to the 4.4 and even like the 4.2. Like I've got a 4.2 in my car and I'm like, paddle this. I'm like, no, I ride a 4.6.
Yeah.
And they go and paddle it. And I'm like, you sure this is 4.2? And I'm like, it's 4.2.
Yeah, and we even did like some 3.10s and 3.8s, and like there's one of the guys in Byron, he's like 40. We actually don't know how old he is. We call him we call him All Day Dan, and he's 40 to 60, we don't know yet, but basically he's a legend and he's ripping, and he's riding a 310 proto, and he's comfortably paddling in, and he probably weighs probably 190 pounds, and so it's like pretty amazing how well they actually paddle for their size. So
yeah, it looks like the volume's in the right spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a lot of volume under the chest. So, and then the way the flat bottom, it's not over-engineered like a lot of things are these days. So it's super simple, flat bottom releases well, and it's really light. That 4.0, I think it's 2.2 kilograms with depth cricket, which is, I don't know how much that is in pounds, but
4 points.
It's probably like it must be like 4.8 pounds. Yeah. So it's super light.
Let's start to try them.
Light, lively, tested. Very good.
We've put some love into these things, that's for sure.
Right on. Very good. Let's go on to the,
and then,
to the amps.
Go on the amps. Let's start this end, hey?
Yeah.
So, similar process. Like, once we'd done all this layup with the raw boards, we'd already been building these and experimenting with layups, and then we took the layup from the raw board. We had plenty of protos of these. We were really happy with them, and we just pretty much took that layup, which we're now very, very minor tweak for every board we make, or new model, but put the layup in this, and it just like once again came alive. It's just like, oh my god, this is like, we just nailed this layup. So anything with an amp, we've got two models in the amp you can see here. We've got the amp S boards, which are more oriented towards surfing. You can use them for winging, you can use them for downwinding. you know, they excel in the surf. Downwinding, you want really, really good bumps if you're going to be on the 4.2. The 4.6 is really good for downwinding.
And this is the same shape as the raw boards we just talked about?
No,
Slightly
different shape.
Yeah.
Different
Okay.
shape, yeah. Look, not a huge difference, but yeah, there's definitely tweaks to this board. You know, it's a slightly thicker board.
More
The
pulled in
tail's
tail.
just pulled in just a little bit more. And then the boxes are just slightly further forward.
Okay.
So it's not quite a chop tail.
And that was like to try. That was trying to get the, you know, we really wanted to get the center of lift, like over the foil. The weight of the battery over the center of lift, and that's kind of like why we did that. To make sure, to make sure there was like very minimal swing weight. Like we didn't want, you know, the weight to be in the nose, so it's like you're really like trying to pull up the nose. So it's kind of like right over, all the tail. So it's right over the center of lift, which is generally like, you know, we're kind of in between where you're standing, so that the swing weight is very minimal, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's like if you wanted to, you know, swing on a seesaw, you'd put all the weight smack in the middle of the seesaw.
Right,
so
yeah.
you know,
Physics are accounted for in this thing.
Yes.
physics are accounted for.
And what I found was interesting, you said there's no electronics,
No
or
electronics in this
anything
board.
base in the
Nope.
board. It's just
So
a
we've
big...
got a launch pad, so these just screw out. They're, you know, pretty stiff to get in and out, but we've deliberately designed it that way because, you know, like we've taken this out in a huge surf. You don't want to be coming up going, where's my launch pad?
Right.
So this is what controls the whole thing. These will just drop in and out between boards. And then
So this is rechargeable. It comes with a
Rechargeable.
wireless recharger.
comes with a wireless charger. We made it universal, so whatever wireless charger you got at phone at home
Okay,
to
so
charge
it'll
your
work
phone,
with your
just drop it on,
standard
look at that. You know, you go
iPhone.
one holidays, you forget your charger. It's like, you know, got to be able to charge it. So
And then it's Bluetooth connection
it's
through the
Bluetooth
board.
through the board to the cartridge. Now it doesn't matter how deep or how big a surf you go in. Like you can hit boost. It's got full control the whole time. Like you don't ever have a Bluetooth issue.
Oh yeah,
Duck dive
these guys have been
boost.
bragging about the duck dive too
Duck
since,
dive boost.
since I've been here.
Once you've duck dive boost, you can never go back.
I'm excited to try it.
Yeah. So we've got what we call the Amp S for surf, and then we've got these boards here which are a mid-length. So we've got these at launch in a 5.0, which is this. That's 45 litres, 18 wide. So we've got a 5.0 and we've got a 5.8 that's 65 litres. And then
This is the board that I wing on, the 5.0.
5.0.
Yeah, I love winging on
And what's
that.
the volume on the 5.0
Without
again?
the cartridge, I wing on
it's
it.
45 litres.
45. Okay,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
perfect winging board.
So these are great. Like, you know, we design all our boards. All the amp boards are designed to be ridden. The design process, we basically design it pretty much without a cartridge. So we go out there and we test all these boards without a cartridge, and we ride them and refine them and refine them, because that's what the boards are for. And then the cartridge gets added, and we make sure that weight of the cartridge, once again, is that center point over the front wing, which is minimizing the effect of adding weight. And then we go from there.
So how much weight do you think, like adding just the, you know, this insert here and the jets or the inserts or the intakes, I guess,
Yep.
how much do you think they actually add to the board itself?
So the entire, so you've got a cavity, obviously. Probably not see that because it's quite dark.
Yeah,
So
we'll
you've
do
got
some
a cavity that
close-ups after.
fits the thinger. You've obviously got the intakes, tracks, everything built in. We were quite fortunate because if you build this board without everything, you've obviously got foam where, like, you've got to take that into consideration. So I know the weight of the cavity and all that sort of stuff, but because we're actually taking stuff out and like tracks and all that from a board that doesn't have a cavity, you're looking at, so a good example, I guess, is say this 4.2. So this 4.2 is higher volume and it's obviously a little bit thicker, so you've got to take that into consideration. We built this 4.2 comparing to that 4.2. That 4.2 I think is around about 2.4, 2.5 kilos. When we built it in this shape, we're up to about 2.6 ish.
So
when we added the
much.
cavity and the cup and all that sort of stuff, we're sitting at about 3.1, 3.2. So you're sort of adding about 500 grams. Yeah. So if you want to be comparable, but once again, using our layup and you know, technology and keeping our boards super light.
But it
still
does.
feels super
It
light.
does ride.
It
It does
super
ride
light.
pretty similar to a prone board without the, you know, it definitely rides similar to most other prone boards, because our raw boards are quite light, you know, comparatively. So the amp boards, like the 4.2, rides pretty similar to a standard prone board without the cavity, you know, without the battery
Gotcha.
in it. You know?
And it does come with that.
Which
Yeah,
you
I think
can.
that
So
one's
that
got
one?
the jet in it. Yeah. Is it that one that's got the insert? Yeah.
Yeah, so
we've
you got foam.
four will come with a foam blank, like that. So that actually, like I foil this. sometimes because I'm in such a rush without the blank, because I'm just like, just grab the board and run down the beach and, you know, like I've got it all set up, got the foil on it, you know, don't have time to swap it out to the raw board. And then it's fine, like you're just losing a tiny bit of volume.
Right.
I mean, you go back to the volume of...
liter or two.
Yeah, so you got actually 2.5, 3 litres in there.
You go.
So
yeah.
you throw that in and then you go ride it, which, you know, doesn't take long.
No,
You shouldn't be so lazy, you know.
And Eric's got the full pod there.
Yep.
Full max
Guy.
Yep, and that's the jet cartridge.
So you want to
So
tell us a little
literally
bit about that?
Yeah, so the concept behind it all was to really keep it as simple and clean as riding your normal prone board. Like if you go out and you're riding for a couple of hours and the tide comes in, the waves get too fat, you know, you got your foil on, this is sitting on the beach, you literally pull this out, you throw that in the back of the car, I'll give you that, you grab this, you throw this in, you do up a T30, which is the same as all our bolts.
So it's
there's
one
literally
bolt.
One T30, in it goes. You throw it with the launch pad's usually in, because I leave the launch pad in because it'll track my waves whether I'm actually got the jet in or not. Okay. So it's got all the tracking and the GPS
So you can
and everything.
use that. So if you were taking it out with just the foam insert
I'll
on,
still track myself.
okay, and you still turn it on, I assume, and get it going.
Turn it on, yeah. It tells me everything I'm doing.
You get all your wave metrics like you would on like the Dawn Patrol app or
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Yep.
So there's
Pump cadence,
all
like,
syncs to the app. And
tells you all the cadence.
Yeah, so
like,
we've got a future that's not at launch. So in the future, we've got all these plans. The amount of electronics we've stuck into that thing, we're not even using yet. So, but we've got all these grand ideas down the track to actually,
Right.
you know,
Good
like
plan
how many
ahead.
G's you're doing on a turn, you know, how many degrees of turn, like all of that stuff.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So because we can tell with the board, with the launch pad in there, we can tell exactly what the board's doing. We know if it's 5 degrees off to the right, to the left, nose up, nose down, everything. So we track all that data. So we've got a lot of fun coming up, you know, down the track.
So
of
for
like,
the
what do we
techie
track?
people like that are maybe not even wanting electric assist at any, they could still get this board with that and still get all their data and track
Absolutely.
it. And,
Absolutely, yeah. So, like a typical journey for me, both in winging and proning, like I'll go out, you know, I've got a bung shoulder anyway, so, you know, I'll go out and after an hour and a half of paddling, my shoulder's like, yeah, that's enough. Or the tide comes in and it gets too fat, and I'll come back and I'll just throw this in, and, you know, you go out and get another couple of hours out in the water, no worries.
Right,
So,
awesome. And how long does that battery seem to last?
the battery in the launch pad, depending on, you know, like how long your sessions are, but you usually get like 8-10 sessions out of it.
Okay, so you don't need to charge it every time.
No,
it's like,
no.
it's like a flight board remote, you know, you don't have to
Right.
charge it, that'll
Yeah,
go,
it'll last
you
a long
for
time.
a while.
Yeah, so I always keep it topped up, but you know, my rule of thumb is, you know, I use it once it starts getting sort of below 50. I'm like, oh, I better just quickly throw it on the charger tonight.
Right.
So
Cool.
just, you know,
It looks like Eric's got the batteries here.
Yeah, the
Want to show
batteries,
us how
there we
those
go.
work?
yeah, no drama.
Oh, there's sections so you can fly with them too.
We,
correct?
yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
flew,
We flew over here with these.
Yeah, so these are,
you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
Chris can tell you about them there.
This is literally one of the reasons why we're taking so long to get to market.
It's usually
one
that
of the
part
many.
of it.
Yeah, look, we put in a lot into this battery, a huge amount. Being part of Flightboard, they've always been super diligent about safety of batteries, which is great because I am as well. Like I've dealt with lithium batteries for a long time, building many projects. You know, you do have to treat them with respect, like any battery.
Sure.
But we were like, you know, not everyone treats battery with respect. So we've got to build these like, you know,
Yep.
so they're just as
Dummy-proof.
bulletproof as possible.
Yeah.
Right. So a couple of things. So, you know, energy density cells, we've got special technology in this called phase change material, which almost
Phase
sounds cool.
change, does sound
So it's literally between all the cells, it's a special material that we use that if one cell, for whatever reason, due to manufacturing was getting a little bit hot, it actually will pull all the temperature from the other cells and cool down that cell. So there's that. The BMS that we've got in this particular battery, we designed from scratch. You know, it's got so much tech in it. So BMS stands for Battery Management System. Now this is getting pretty geeky, but it's really important. So it monitors every single cell on this battery, right? Why it's discharging, why it's charging, why it's sitting there, why you're flying, you name it. And if it has a problem with anything, it will shut the battery down. So you could be out there boosting away and it will detect the smallest drop of water in there and it will go, there's water in the battery, I'm shutting down, right? It'll disconnect the power. So it does all of that. It will, you know, like say you just do boost after boost after boost for whatever reason and you're in a stupidly hot climate and the cells are getting too warm, or any single cell goes above a certain temperature, shuts the battery down. So it's got all that.
Safety first.
Safety first, 100%. Then it's also got what we call an IMU in it, so it can tell what the battery's doing. So once again, all the different roll rate and all that, which we don't need. You drop the battery, it knows it's been dropped. But then it's also got things like you shake the battery, can't probably see it in the sunlight. Can't see it in the sunlight at the moment. But
it's logistics.
Yeah, so it tells you how charged it is. Yeah, right. So just a nice way of, like, because we didn't want
it would definitely give me an F. You dropped it.
And then
warranty.
Regulation-wise, like we went to, you know, the people who are the hardest. So we went external. We're just like, here's the battery, and you know they've just done everything. Drop tests on concrete, you know, all the stuff that you've got to do. Pressure testing, all that sort of stuff.
I was going to say how it can
connects. Yep.
How they. You don't have to put it in certain, you know, you can mix and match batteries, like it doesn't have to.
Yep.
They don't have to both be full.
Yeah, yeah.
One could be half charged.
Absolutely.
One could be full, one could be.
So another thing is, like, if you had a 50% battery and a 100% battery, and you did this, and they connected together, it would try and dump as much current as it can from one battery to the other. Now the BMS might stop that if it's a smart enough BMS, but it's just too much work for the batteries, and it's really not good etiquette to actually just connect two batteries together that aren't the same state of charge.
Right.
So what this does is, this could be 50%, this could be 100%. It goes in the cartridge, so these just slip in like this. And then you put, thank you. And so you just put the end cap on, so that's now on.
And you heard it beep.
And now,
so there's no button, right? You just put it in there and it
on.
automatically engages. All right.
And then that's automatically syncing to that board now.
Okay.
Like pairing up, you know.
And so inside here, what we've got is our motor, our jet, our impeller. We've got a few different electronic boards in here. Once again, built all the electronics, ESC, every single board from scratch. Same with the motor. Like, there's no off-the-shelf parts in this, which is great for us being able to do whatever you want. Really hard for actually getting the product built. But so we can, once again, detect a leak in here. So the battery compartment's separated from this compartment. So even if you ended up getting water in the battery compartment, the batteries are waterproof. We like to keep the batteries dry, you know, why not?
This whole back section is waterproof too.
And this is all waterproof here.
So you got sealed, batteries are sealed, another seal, away from that seal.
Yep.
So, seal and
so
seal
we've got
and seal.
lots and lots and lots of sealing. So, but once again, we've got the humidity sensor in there again. So once again, the launch pad will go, hey, I've detected a leak, go get it serviced.
Gotcha.
So just trying to minimise, because if you get one little leak, it's probably not a problem.
Right.
You know, if the thing floods or the leak continuously happens over months, then suddenly the thing's going to stop working. So the super smart tech in here that I didn't come up with, but the guys at work, our engineers who are just next level, so they're basically looking at these two batteries and going, okay, what are these batteries at? Like, are these the same state of charge? Are these, or aren't they? So if
are they from like the same? Did you buy them at the same?
12-month battery old.
Yeah. Did you buy them with one amp board, or do you have two amp boards, or do you have?
Okay.
Did you buy another whatever, and it doesn't matter what battery you're using. You don't have to like use the exact batteries.
Right.
You know, that you originally bought. You could go
So
buy.
you're
You
able
could
to accessorize.
So you could be like, I could be like, hey Eric, can I borrow like 2 batteries? I'm going on a trip, and just mix and match your batteries with my batteries.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guess the main thing is definitely that, like, you've got 4 batteries and 2 of them are almost flat or 50% charged, or you forgot to charge one night and it's 50% from your session yesterday because you didn't flatten it, and one's 100, you charged one of them and you're like, what am I going to do? Just chuck them in, not a problem. So what it will do is it'll look at both batteries and assess how much power it can pull from each battery. And it pulls it separately, but then joins it together and delivers it to the motor. So you might find that one battery's 20%, one battery's 100%, and it goes, well, I just can't pull anything out of that 20% battery at the moment. I've got to drain this 100% battery down to a certain percentage before I can actually connect these batteries together.
So it's smarter than all we are, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And
just let it do its work.
It works a treat. So you do. You just charge your batteries, throw them in, out you go. I mean, you're always charging 2 batteries at once, but it's also, you know, batteries over time also will deplete at different rates as well.
Right,
so once again, if you're connecting a 12-month-old battery that you've used 300-400 times in a new battery, like, you've got to have a system to actually work that out. Otherwise, it's just going to load that old battery too hard, and then you're going to end up with problems.
And we were talking a little bit earlier, you're saying that you don't need to run 2 batteries. You could run one, but you
can run one battery. You want to be a lightweight, right? So, like, I've run one battery. I'm not light enough.
That's where I find it interesting from that perspective of a feel. Like maybe you like the heavier, like a one-piece battery. Will that be available? Like just a
For the
bigger battery?
So, amp Mast, we've got that.
Okay.
So, amp Mast, you have a cartridge that looks like this, but it doesn't have the motor, doesn't have the jet and all that sort of stuff.
Batteries,
So it'll be this long, and then you can actually throw 4 of these batteries in.
Oh, wow.
But you can ride with 2 batteries, 3 batteries, or 4 batteries.
So back to my point, I like the fluctuations of how you can play with your weight and batteries, right? You can maximize your feel, but
the wave's
also
kind of catchable, and you don't really need the full boost.
Right.
You just want a little bit extra, or you just want to duck dive.
Yeah.
And then you
that's
can
really
put one
cool.
in
But in saying that, after using it for 12 months, 2 batteries are pretty addictive. Once you use 2 batteries,
you're out there,
you
right?
kind of go, well, you use the 2 batteries, you're getting double the boost.
You get the boost power, not just the length of boost.
No, the length of the boost doesn't change.
So it's just the power.
It's
that
just
changes.
literally
You
the
go
power.
from
So
1 to
the
2.
amount of kilowatts we're pulling out of this motor, we need 2 batteries.
Gotcha.
You know,
you
once
can
again,
use
for
one,
safety,
but
just
not
lose
trying
the
to pull
power.
too much power out of one battery. So you know, we run well within the limits of the batteries.
But also, you don't really notice the difference between 1 and 2 batteries.
Weight-wise.
You know, weight-wise, because they're pretty light anyway, you know?
You get used to it. Like, I'll be completely honest. Like, if I've been training all week and I jump on the amp, my first few waves, I'm like, oh my God, you know, like I really notice the weight.
Right.
But then you spend a couple of sessions on the amp and suddenly you just, the weight just
you get used to
disappears.
it.
Like, it just disappears. And then you go back to the prone and you're like, oh my God, this thing's too twitchy and light.
Race
So-
car.
You end up blowing half your turns on the pro.
Yeah.
It's just like the carving is like, it's not that snappy in the pocket, but like the carving, you just lean it over and all your pitch stability and everything just sits there. And your roll rate actually, because you've got this swing weight from here, like you can literally size up a foil and it feels like you're riding a smaller foil.
You have some inertia load.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which means then you can like pump around easier. You know?
I found that on like a sup
Yeah.
board pumps better than the prone board.
You got the little extra
just with the extra weight.
Yeah.
Throwing it into gear.
Yeah,
I always kind of talked about like swinging 2 bats before you're going to play baseball. Like, you know, you get 2
yeah,
bats,
yeah,
you
yeah.
swing
Yeah.
2 bats, or you put a
Yeah.
weight on the bat, because then now you could take it all out and you go to your prone board. You're like, whoa! It's like we get ready to swing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and we definitely go through stages where I'm on the amp all week, and it could be, you know, due to the conditions, or you know, it's just a really nice option to have in the car.
Right.
M boards. Probably didn't speak too much about these, did we?
Right. So these are just a mid-length shape for the
and
amp.
for mid-length, basically.
Yep. M
Yeah.
for mid-length.
Probably for the bigger, heavier, maybe a little older guys,
Look,
or just
do you know what?
smaller days.
To be honest, I have this in my car the whole time, and I have the 4.2.
That's what I really like, because I like having it to wing
Yeah,
on
for winging,
without the
perfect.
battery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's my downwind board.
It's a really good wing board.
So that's a good question. Do you ever wing it with the battery?
Both.
Yeah. If there's
Either
like,
either.
I've gotten up on the 4.2 in 3 knots of wind with a 5 meter wing.
Wow.
But then you couldn't keep going.
You've done downwinders out in the open where you go down and you're getting back up in the bumps on this.
Yeah, easy. On the 4.2. Dude, on the 4.2.
I can't even believe
Dude,
it.
on the 4.2, I got up on a 650.
That's crazy.
650 surf wing.
Yeah.
On the 4.2 downwinding.
Because
I
I'm looking at this mechanism right
but
here.
for the mere mortal, 4.6 and above.
Adam's above the roll.
But that's just us testing the limits.
Yeah,
But for me personally, like I said, like the 5.0 is my personal choice that I like to keep in my car for like downwinding, for winging, because it's just, I mean, it's
a really good all-round
quiver. It's like
board.
a quiver killer. Really.
It is a quiver killer.
awesome
I
to see how
prone
sleek
this.
this
Like I literally 45 litres.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be a super
sometimes
fun
I
prone
just
board.
throw the blank in and I actually go and prone it. I actually
Or proning if it's tiny and you just want to like paddle into like little waves.
Sure.
Do you mind if I pick this one up?
Yeah, go
I haven't
for it.
felt any of these, so this is really.
This
is
is frothing over here.
Sight unseen. Man.
And it's not even hot.
It's not hot. It's not. I mean,
It's been cooking in the sun.
Yeah, it's pretty light.
It's super light.
Yeah, I was holding them up with a finger.
Like,
and
it's
you could-
basically the same weight as like what a normal wingboard would
definitely
be.
You have a
not.
little different inlay of the traction, but I mean, everything looks. What I really like is how you guys paid attention to detail of just what looks good to the eye. Everything looks great
Yeah,
to
it
the
is
eye.
beautiful.
When you
It
look
is.
at it,
It's a piece of
it's
like a
sexy.
piece of art.
it fully is. So I mean, right there you got my sale. Just with that, you know. Now I'm hoping that everything works, and it beyond works.
You're gonna trip out when you try.
Yeah, let me take this one.
Well, I mean, it's. Should we take them to the water? Get them
Yeah,
out
let's
there?
go. Let's
Definitely.
go some waves.
Definitely.
All right, we're gonna go get some session on these, and we'll give you guys some feedback after.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
And then this still got that mic. Oh yeah, you do
Just a
it.
little
So this is the locking pin here, and it's spring loaded, so it's really cool. Like when you undo it, it's pushing itself out, so it's like super easy to get out too.
It's a bit of a long one because we've deliberately done this. If anyone just gets so much sand up these inlets or something gets up there that jams in the corner of the cartridge, it can just get really hard. And we've got a seal around here, which is really important for the performance of the jet. So what happens is when you actually unscrew this, which we'll do in a minute, it actually physically pulls that first bit of the cartridge and the seal out and just breaks any tension in, because there's just a very fine tolerance. So if enough sand jams in there, which under any normal riding I've never ever had, but I have literally been on the beach throwing handfuls of sand down here to test the limits, and once you throw handfuls of sand down there after enough of them, like 10 or 15, then the cartridge does actually become jammed, and this screw here, you basically wind it out and it will just pull it out, and then you can just pull the cartridge out.
Nice. Cool.
So there you go. If you pick that up now, Eric.
Total weight. That's 2 batteries.
Okay. Yeah, again, very balanced.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a similar weight to like a downwind board,
Yeah, and then where the tracks. Yeah, I mean let's go. Let's try it. Let's try it.
Like enough talk.
Yeah, let's try it out.
Yeah. I literally find the heaviest is when you pick it up and carry it down the beach. You kind of go, oh wow.
Well, it's just anybody,
once
especially
you're out in the water, it's sort of all disappears.
once you know too that weight becomes your friend. It's not heavy, so we're not even talking about weight, but it feels perfect. It feels nailed. It feels right.
Like the 4.2, I don't know the weight of that off the top of my head at the moment. Like the 4.2 with 2 batteries, launch pad, charger, and everything comes in at about 7.3 kilograms. Or thereabouts.
Do some conversions on the screen.
Yeah.
With you're talking about board only or with foil on it?
No, just add the foil. Yep. So depending on your, every foil's a different weight.
Yeah,
so, there's definitely some lighter mass around.
Probably another 3 kilos or something, 3.5
Yeah.
kilos.
So you're looking sort of around 10, 11 kilos all up. So what's that, 22 pounds?
Something like that,
Put it on the screen.
Yeah, put it on the screen. I'm good with like I know my weight in pounds, but I don't know that detailed weight.
That's important.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, let's hit the water, guys.
All right.
I always do more on the beach. Yeah.
Touch that.
You just hold the board. We're just going to show it how it comes down.
Oh yeah.
Going?
Yep. Yeah, so it gets to a point where it starts then.
So that's warning you that, you're not to have the cartridge all the way in. And then
See
the
how it
last bit of the
springs out.
screw actually pulls the cartridge out. So if you get anything jammed between the cavity and the cartridge walls, then you're good to go.
Boom.
And then throw your blank in, go back out.
Throw this guy in. Bang.
The blank just stays in there with just suction?
Yeah, it just stays in there, yeah. Boom.
Nice system.
All right. So, first session, amp jet, super fun. What'd you think? Before I say what I think.
I'm kind of speechless because how do I put this? This isn't something that I would personally pick, and now I have to have one. so I mean, it rides amazing. I put it out past the waves and was chipping into stuff that was, by any means, you couldn't catch it on any other deal, other like a pair wing or something else. And it was doing it. Once it was up, it was lively. You didn't really feel the weight. The whole setup felt balanced.
It pumped way better than I expected. That was like my first takeoff. I got up, which it felt pretty natural getting up, like no problem, especially coming from, I've done a lot of the foil drive and e-foil, so that just like kind of felt natural.
Right.
And then I got up and I was like, okay, am I gonna be able to pump this thing? And then no problem, connected first wave. I was like, wow. And honestly, I think the little bit extra weight made me feel almost more comfortable to like go into critical sections.
Yeah,
I'm like,
throw it into its motion.
Yeah, I'm like, the weight's gonna carry me through this whitewash. It's gonna just pull me around this corner.
Definitely. There was two things of feedback too with that I liked was you don't feel the weight, but you have weight in it. But also usually like in 1,000 wing for me, if I load up a turn, I'll feel a little bit of like the whole setup's gonna load up with some flex.
Right.
And I didn't feel too much of that, any flex really. So
no, I didn't feel any flex.
I mean, that was minuscule and we were milking it, right? But how lively and and friendly. It felt, it was surfy, it pumped, it had speed.
So we were on a 1010
Yep.
front wing. I mean, we had 2 different boards, the same front wing, same board.
I believe that's the 125 stack.
Yeah, and one had a little bit bigger and a shorter fuse, I think, but similar, felt very similar. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know what size wing I was on when I first got up. I thought maybe I was on a smaller wing, and then it felt playful.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
oh,
it was
and then like a
driving.
1010. I'm like, oh wow, I thought I was on like a 880 or 800, something like that.
Yeah.
Super playful. And then what about like catching waves? Like, what is your take on that? Like,
Well, that was my thing. I mean, even let's say just paddling for me, it felt like a prone board without any weight in it, just floating through the water. I didn't feel the weight in the water. And then hit the happy fun button, and you have all the boost, the juice, and that was just. I mean, I saw a wave next to me, right? Put it this way, like where I knew I wasn't even in the spot, but all I did was thrust over and then catch it up. So there's just so many applications of how you can utilize the boost of the jet in it.
Yeah,
so.
I was using like the little paddle assist just to kind of like sneak and slowly go outside while I was waiting for a set to come and like see the set on the horizon. I'm like, all right, let's see it. And then like you said, you see one over there, you push the little jet button, and boom, and just, I mean, there's times I didn't need to paddle, times where I had to give it a little extra, but I would have never, ever, ever caught that wave.
Right, and I mean, the only other thing I can think of is just those days where, like, I mean, you kind of are lazy and you want to ski or some type of assistance. So now that kind of eliminates all that, and you're not really disrupting water with any other type of, that's all on the board.
Oh yeah.
So
once you're up, it's you feel the swing weight a little bit, but not. It doesn't limit you.
It was quiet while you're going past me too. That was another thing where I was like, okay, is it gonna make a noise?
It's not the foil drive.
No, yeah. I mean, and then Gordon was up on a wave. I forgot it was completely a board with a jet in it. So no, it's good.
And we were just talking about the little suction cup and the grips.
Yeah, grips.
Yeah, you do these little holes. You actually suction cup to your feet. And I definitely felt that a few times on the waves.
And I like, just the whole thing is thought out so well. I mean, it's really made to ride at its highest level, and I think that's like from novice to as high as you want to take it, right?
Absolutely.
You can definitely
any level. And there's different size board. Like, I mean, the waves are pretty much crap, and we were having a blast on the,
You're definitely riding the
36-liter
impossible.
board. Where there's the bigger boards too, so you could go to the mid-length ones and be catching even smaller to nothing.
Yeah, no, it blew my mind. It was so much fun.
Yeah, well, I was stoked. Fun first session on it.